Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers he plucks. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
And I'm Sarah.
This is Dating Kinda Sucks, a podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week, we'll be talking about traveling with your partner. Enjoy the show.
And hey, YouTube, thanks so much for watching on here. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more great content.
Well, we are back after
A long time.
It's been a couple of weeks, hasn't it? Because
we talk. Okay, well, actually, this past week we haven't really talked much because I've been traveling and you've been busy.
Bouncing all over the place. No, I wasn't busy. It had nothing to do with me whatsoever.
No? Okay, it's all me. Okay.
I have nothing to do. I'm just a lump on a log here, basically. So no, you've been busy. So we stuck up a vault episode, put up a love bombing episode last time. I thought was pretty relevant for this. For this current climate. I feel like love bombing is coming up a lot. I've seen it in our Facebook group and TikToks too, that people are asking about it, and how do you tell that from compliments? So if you skipped it because it was an old episode, I still think it's worth listening to. So I'd go back and check it out. Yeah. So, but hi, here we are. It's getting to the end of August already, which is crazy.
You say that every week. I can't believe it's
fucking
July.
Because I can't believe that we're going to be in 2023 soon, and like, the world is still going to shit. Like, it's just great. I'm just waiting for things to start becoming better.
You expect things to get better? Really is the question I have for you. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe I should have just get rid of that remaining shred of optimism and just say fuck it.
It was 2019, and then actually I feel like 2016 was good. 2017 was kind of and then it's slowly been declining. Yeah,
that's really very true. Very true. So I've been still here in Utah, in Midway, Utah, where is the middle of nowhere. I think that's why they call it Midway.
The midway between nothing and nothing.
Yep. And I think I talked about this last time too, but it has definitely been a challenge that everything that is like kind of worth doing is across the mountains. You have to go through the mountains to get there. Not like the end of the world, but it is a 45-minute drive, and the road gets shut down a lot. Because first of all, they're doing a lot of construction on it to make it a wider road and all that, but also semis tip over apparently constantly. Because it's a mountainous path, so it's going through the mountains. There's a lot of curves and stuff like that, and the wind can pick up and so apparently semis going too fast, deciding they're trying to make it through the mountains at a higher speed than they should, get caught with the high winds and will just tip over. Yeah, and there are car accidents because people just aren't paying attention and go around a curve too fast. Because if you're, sometimes it says 55 miles an hour, and if you're going faster than that, you hit that curve, you might, you lose a little bit of control. Jeez. And this is not even winter. This is just regular weather, like dry weather, and it's been So it's kind of a kind of a pain sometimes to go over there, and it is definitely an endeavor. And there is Park City, which is a slightly smaller, it's small, it's a small town, but it's bigger than Midway, that has things, but it's not a lot. And there's Provo, which is another 40 minutes south of here. So there's just, in order to meet people, I have to drive a bit. And so I went on a date. I don't even know what fucking day it was.
2 weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago? Probably. Yeah. I went on a date in part of it's South Salt Lake City. It's called South Jordan, West Jordan, whatever. It was a bar that
you sound so enthusiastic about the areas. Whatever, it's a place around.
It's funny. I was talking. We matched on Tinder. We were talking about going. She's like, I don't really know a lot of places either, and so we were talking about places to go. And so I put it up on Twitter, and I was like, hey, does anybody know like a place that maybe does karaoke or a decent bar in the West Jordan area? And like everyone was like, yeah, there's nothing there. It's just a shit area, or something like that. And they're like, all right. So try this bar. So we found a bar. We made plans. We went went there. I met her there at like 7 at on a Friday night, and we sat there, had a really fun conversation. She's she's very interesting and has some health issues, disabilities that are like I've never heard of before. Like her muscles her brain doesn't know that her muscles have stopped working and will keep sending signals until sometimes her bones just like pop out of place. Like yeah, I've never heard of it before, but it's apparently like one time she was in the ER because her neck just popped out of place, and so like she couldn't hold her head up anymore, and they had to go like it sounds terrible.
That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's horrible, and then and she was telling me then she has another issue that if her heart rate gets too accelerated, she faints. It's called Vasovagal Syndrome, which is I've heard of before. And she was telling me about like bad dates where like basically she'd go on a date and she'd mention that, and some guy would be like, "So I can't get you too excited," like basically immediately turning.
I was waiting for something like that. Yeah,
she's had a bunch of bad date experiences, so we were talking about those. And then karaoke started. The bar was packed when we got there on a Friday night, which I expected. It's a Friday night, But by the time karaoke started at like 9:30, there were only like 8 people in the whole bar. Like, I don't know where everybody went. It's a fucking Friday night. And at 9:30, everybody's just like gone.
2 reasons. Everyone in the area hates karaoke. Or 2, just no one stays out past 9 o'clock.
It might be what that is.
Utah.
It could be. But yeah, it was just weird to me. Like there were a couple people playing pool and like, a handful of people sitting in the bar and one old guy and me doing karaoke. And that was it. I convinced my date to sing a song. She had never done karaoke before. She was terrified. But I was like, there's nobody here. Like I promise, like nobody, so she went up and sang and did a good job. Like she knows how to sing. She was like in choir when she was younger. So she did a good job, but she was like, all right, that's it. I can't sing anymore. Like she reached her limit. And I just thought that was so funny. And then I ended up singing for a while. And the karaoke DJ, she was like, come on, like you have to keep singing. You can't go home because I need I have to be here till 1 or something like that.
Oh God, there's no one else.
But we had a good time. And I like basically I got there and I was like, all right. She goes, hey, are you driving back? You have to be really careful because in Utah, by the way, the blood alcohol level to get pulled over is like 0.05 or something like that, or it's essentially 1 drink. Is basically what
the legal limit's like 0.08.
In like Florida, it is. It depends on the state. Yeah. And some places it's 0.1. It really kind of depends. But 0.05, I think is what it is, or maybe lower, but it's very low because it's fucking Utah and the Mormons are garbage. So it means that you're not actually impaired. Like you're like you can still like by most standards you'll be fine. So I was like, yeah. She was like, she was really worried about it. I was like, I promise I'll be fine. And like I was having a drink and a glass of water and a drink and a glass of water. So like I had
food because don't they have
you have to order food? Yes, we had to order food as well. So we ordered food. And I had, basically I think, over the course of being there 5 hours, I had 3.5 drinks, which is not my normal.
That's nothing for you.
Yeah, it's like it's basically water. And the drinks are like because they're singles, so they're like it's a single drink in a tall glass and then a water. Yeah. It was it's not that I need to get drunk when I go on a date. I don't. But if I go out and socialize, if I decide I'm putting on pants, I'm going to shave my head, I'm going to put the effort into, I wouldn't say look nice, but look like a, less of a hobo.
Respectable. There you go.
I don't know if respectable is even the word, but whatever it might be, just if I'm just going to put any effort in, then I'm like, I'm going to go out and socialize and I'm going to put I want to socialize. And that means, having some drinks and having fun. But driving 45 minutes and then having 3 drinks over 5 hours and then driving home, it's just part of me feels like it's really not. Like the only time it might be worth it is if I go there and get a hotel so I can actually just like I just don't want to be uptight and like worried the whole time is really what it boils down to. So yeah. I mean, she was
nothing
fun.
Around where you are.
There's a bar. Where I'm staying, they have a bar that's only open Fridays and Saturdays from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I have a full bar at my place. This is why I'm honestly just like trying to. I was like, hey, just come over here. I have a couch everybody can sleep on. Like, I just want people to come here and we'll just hang out and whatever like that. Yeah. I feel like that's even a better solution. But yeah, no, there's really nothing here. There's a bowling alley. I think that there's stuff like that. But
everything closes at 9.
Everything closes so early. The bar that I go to, there's a place called Melvin's that I go to. They're actually open till like 11 on weeknights and like 1 a.m. I think on the weekends. So that's actually decent. That's not.
But there's still probably no one there.
There's not a lot of people there. That's yeah. I mean, I went there on Wednesday, and I stayed till after close, and basically it was there till like 11:30, but like the last hour there was maybe like 4 people in the bar. It's very, very quiet. So, which is fine because I don't want to go out a lot, but occasionally when I want to go out, I just want to go out and socialize. I just want to go out and have some type of social activity happening.
Well, yeah, if I'm driving 45 minutes anywhere, I'm going to stay there for a while and try to have as much fun as possible before I have to make the trek back, or it's a waste.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but she was great. Like she was a lot of fun, and that we, I'd have a good time seeing her again. Like absolutely. But it's just one of those things. It's just the distance is very frustrating. And
so you didn't plan a second date?
Not yet. We talked about it. We've texted just a little bit. It's been a busy week for me. I was helping my parents with everyone had like multiple doctor's visits and hospital procedures being done this week. So I had to essentially be a chauffeur and transport for the week. So it's been kind of a crazy week. So I haven't really we touched base a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, I would go out again if we could come up with a plan that might be a little more I don't know. It's just everybody likes to do. I don't think she's a hiker, thank God, because of her disability. She doesn't like to hike.
Okay.
She does love binging television, which I'm like, fantastic. That's my kind of thing, But like
well, also, you don't want to hike in this weather either in the dead of summer.
Well, it's not bad here. I mean, like sometimes it gets to 90, but a lot of times it's like 75 to 80 during the day. It's actually not too awful. But it seems like some people are like, oh yeah, if you want to do something, like we can go for a hike, we can go out. And I was like, okay, that's done. We're sorry, over. Next. So, and I did it again where I've just gotten overwhelmed on the apps. I have so many people that this sounds like such a humble brag. I have so many matches right now that I'm overwhelmed. I mean,
which app is your go-to right now?
Right now I'm on Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge.
Okay.
And I probably have, I would say 40 matches on Tinder, like maybe 20 on Bumble, and maybe like 5 good ones on Hinge.
Yeah, but if nothing is exciting you, then
they're all like seem great. I'm just getting overwhelmed with trying to talk to all of them, so that I don't want to talk to any of them, which is just shooting myself in the foot and then feels rude as well. So yeah, I'm just done for a while.
But part of the problem is the dating scene there is just not conducive to what you want. Like it's not a good fit.
Yeah. Yeah. I matched with
you meet cool people, but then there's that barrier of driving or whatever is just
right.
Demotivating.
Which I think that if it was something where like we click and there's enough of a connection, we start seeing each other occasionally, then we switch back and forth. You come over there, I'll go over there, then it can become a thing, but it's putting in the effort to get to that point. I did match with one person who lived in the town, and we were chatting about that briefly, and I was like, yeah, it was really nice to find somebody who's actually here and not in Salt Lake City. And then she never replied, and we on Bumble, and I didn't follow up again, but I was just like, yeah, well, okay, there we go. Fuck me, all right. Well, it's just that's it. I'm done.
What about trying to make friends in the area? How's that going?
I mean, okay, well, it went well. At the bar, I met this couple, and we were chatting, and he's like, "Hey, do you like to bowl?" And I was like, "Sure, I love bowling." And he was like, "Why don't you come out and bowl with us?" And he's like, "It's our league, but we need more bowlers." And so they had a bowling night last Tuesday, I think. And I was like, yeah, I'll go to that. And then I started thinking about it, and then I realized that
you didn't end up going.
No, I didn't.
Bitch, we were gonna record, and then you said, "No, I want to make friends," and so that's why I asked.
I know, but then I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I don't know these people well enough. Then I'm going into a place. I'm going to a place that I've never been, so I'm going to an unfamiliar place. And I'm going to go with people that I don't really know, and they have a league already. So then I'm just going to be introduced to a bunch of other strangers all at the same time. And I really don't feel like any of that is fun to me. That all sounds very awkward.
It's not unsafe. It'd be more unsafe if you were a woman. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying unsafe. It's not an unsafe thing. I have nothing to do with. No, I understand that. Yeah, it'd be very different. But no, it just sounds awkward and uncomfortable, and it just does not make me. It doesn't sound like fun, so I decided not to go. I figure I'll see them at the bar again because they're there all the time.
But it's a good way to meet even more people.
I don't want to meet like a lot of people. Okay. Like that's too much. No, but I figure if I get to know them a little bit better, then I might feel more comfortable like doing something else. Or maybe when the league starts back up, maybe being part of it from the beginning. But coming in when it's their last night at league, it just seems, yeah, no, thank you.
their last night of the league for the season type of thing. Then that would have been more celebratory, and then maybe
it's just weird to just show up and be like, yeah, I know, and so that just gives me tons of anxiety. So I decided not to go at all.
All right.
So
killing it. All right. Cool.
Oh yeah, killing it. So my mother last night. It was a Friday, and I was like, I cooked them dinner, I cleaned up, and then they were all set. And it was like 7, maybe 6:30, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna head back. And she's like, what are you gonna go out? And I was like, no, Friday nights are when they have live music at the bar. That means there's too many people there. And she goes, what are you gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna go back to my place and be alone. That's what I want to do. And I don't think my parents understand that either. But here we are.
You like more one-on-one interactions anyways, though.
Yes. It just means more to me to have a one-on-one interaction than trying to meet a bunch of random strangers all at once. And
you could still have one-on-one interactions with more people around. You know that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I can't control the environment, and I'm, like, I've gotten rid of a lot of the controlling aspects of like things, and relinquish control in a lot of ways, but it feels it's anxiety inducing. So I don't want to do it.
Let's bring you back to your shack in Vermont.
Yes, I mean that's the thing is
happy.
Like, spending the last year and a half on my own alone completely has really made me realize how much I enjoy being alone, 95% of the time. And then there's that 5% of the time where like, oh, it'd be nice to have someone who I could just call who wants to come over and hang out and, whatever, or someone who will meet me out and have a drink, and that's it. And then I can say goodbye and not see them again for another 2 weeks. That sounds amazing to me. And so I don't know what the answer is to that.
You're going to be alone forever because it's going to be really hard to make new friendships if you're just seeing them 5% of the time.
I know.
Every other 2 weeks or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. But did I tell you? Oh, I don't think I told you. So last time when I was at the bar, I think this is the time that I got invited to the bowling thing as well. This guy sat next to me and he was asking me about the food and everything. And I was like, yeah, everyone says the wings are good. I don't eat wings. I don't know. So he ordered wings, started telling me his whole life story. He's drinking and he's drinking pretty heavily. He's saying that he got in a fight with his wife over something. And so he just decided to come out here, and he's in his mid-30s. And then he starts, we start just talking about, he starts asking me questions. I started talking about, what I've been up to, my kind of, my life and stuff like that. And then he's saying, oh, well, my big brother was actually went to law school too. So he starts telling me about his big brother and all this. And it's just I feel like he just needed somebody to talk to, because he's just pouring out all this information. Then starts telling me about his big brother died, accidentally got poisoned by his friends who, thought it'd be funny on they were out celebrating to put some type of methadone or something in his drink, and it ended up giving him a heart attack and he died. Yeah, this whole big thing. Yeah. And so he shows me his tattoo that has his brother's name and a date, birthday, and death date on there and stuff like that, and continues to drink more, keeps buying shots for both of us. And so we're just sitting there talking, and it was just but he was just and he was just kind of just talking about his whole life and everything. And then at the end of the night, he's like, all right, I gotta go. I should get home to my wife. She's been calling me over and over again. And he asked for the bill. He's like, we'll get our checks. And I was like, well, I'm still I'm staying. And he's like, oh no, I know, but I'm paying for yours. And then I was like, no, you're not. He goes, yeah, no, I am. And so he paid for both of our bills. And it was probably I want to say $200, $250, something like that. And then and then asked for, I was like, well, the next time I come out here, I'd love to text you and come out. I need good friends out here or whatever. And sent me this I sent him my number. He sent me text this. He's like, what did he say? He's something something he either said "love you, big bro" or something like that, or big bear brother or something like that. So basically, I feel like I just reminded him of his brother. And it was just, it was the craziest thing. And I just felt bad for the guy. I was just I don't think he has anybody to talk to in his life, and he and his wife are fighting and things like that. But it was, it was really crazy. And then I got all my drinks paid for and was not expecting that either. And and haven't heard from him since.
So not a friend. Okay.
That's I'm saying. I haven't. I replied back to him, and he's got my number. I have not heard from him. It's been 3 weeks, and he has not said a damn thing. And so it was this weird, just random, two people passing in the night, just getting to kind of just chatting and stuff like that. And I doubt I'll ever hear from him again. Or he's gonna look at his phone. Who the fuck is he's just he's not gonna have any memory of it. Yeah. So isn't that crazy?
That's eventful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was hoping it ended in a friendship, but it didn't sound like
No,
that's the way
no,
it was going
it
at all.
might. I don't know. I'm almost kind of scared to text him next time to be like, "Hey, do you want to grab a drink?" Because who is this or something like that too. Making friends as an adult can be
Poor
hard.
Adam.
I
Yeah,
know.
that is so true though.
So enough about my weird ass life. What's going on with you?
Well, I just got back from Seattle with Roy. We were there for a week. And well, we were exploring not just Seattle, but Tacoma, some of the islands around as well. Um, we're looking to move, obviously, we're looking to move outside of Nashville, and that is one
Right.
of the areas on our list. And before we got there, actually, it was our number one spot. And I was just going to go in all in and not give a shit and just say, we're moving to Seattle, whatever. And so that was my vibe once we got there. And then we started looking at apartments and I started getting cold feet and Roy started getting more excited. And we just had this, we were just not aligned on how we were feeling about certain things in certain areas. I mean, we must have toured at least 7 or 8 apartments up there. And, overall, what we were finding was a lot of places don't have air conditioning because it's pretty mild temperature most of the year, except for, some peaks in the summer. There's not a lot of square footage you're going to get we're looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in Seattle under $3,000.
Right.
There's not a lot of options,
No, yeah.
honestly. And then on top of that, they'll charge parking fees and all these other stupid fucking fees. So really your rent's like $3,200 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath under 1,000 square feet. So we looked at so many places and I was just disgusted with the options because our apartment now is, I think, 2,200. And we have, I don't know the square footage, but I think we're at least 1,200 square feet. So we have a lot more space, parking's included. Like it's cheaper to live here in Nashville than it is to live there, but there are other cheaper places across the country. So that was one thing, is cost. And then knowing, gas is more expensive, whatever. We did end up going to West Seattle though. And I think that was the first area in Seattle where we went, wow, this is actually really fucking great. And it fits both of our needs of feeling more homey. There's a beach right there. And I say beach in quotations because it's not really on, the Pacific Ocean, but it's got some sand and it's right on Puget Sound. So
it's on Puget Sound. Okay.
Yeah. But there's a beach, there's a lot of parks and stuff. There is a downtown that's super walkable. There's farmers markets every Sunday. It feels more homey, but then you can take a water taxi for about 15 minutes around $5 and get to downtown Seattle from there. And then, there is traffic and stuff if you want to get down to Seattle. But if we were just there, staying there, it's pretty perfect for what we would use throughout the week. And then we could, take water taxis or whatever to go to other islands and stuff.
Because there's no commuting. You guys work from home, right? So you wouldn't have to commute anywhere.
We wouldn't have to commute anywhere, which is also why the gas thing, like paying more for gas obviously would suck, but a lot of the gas that we would spend isn't being spent because we're just working from home. So it's actually like, okay, we're paying a little bit more, but we're not really driving. We don't really drive that much during the week anyway. So, okay. But so we found a couple spots, but I think our last full day of exploring in Seattle, I was just having a moment at the Needle, just sitting there going, but the weather. I'm from Florida, but the weather, freaking the fuck out. And of course, Roy's like, okay, let's pull it up on the map. We're going through every single city comparison, looking at, okay, this is their weather. Here's what it's going to be like. And then overall, he's like, dude, you're going to be gone for at least a month during the winter, a month during the fall. You're going to be gone during the low seasons of travel because it's going to be cheaper for you to travel. And then summer is where you want to be. You want to be in Seattle during the summer because the highs are in the 80s. It's sunny almost every single day. And that's why people live in Seattle for the summer. So I think I'm back here in Nashville now. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. But I was having a lot of cold feet, especially because, there are some, I wouldn't say fair weather friends, but there are some long distance friends that I have that have lived in the area in the past, and they're like, don't move here, you're gonna hate it, because they hated it. And I'm just like, I really let that cloud a lot of my thoughts about the city too, because when I was there in 2019, it was so different, where I was just exploring the area to explore, to enjoy literally everything. It was cloudy most of the days I was there, and it wasn't the greatest weather, but it was fall, and I like the fall feeling, and that's all fine with me. But just knowing that would be my daily weather, I just started to get really scared. And of course, I'll invest in a sad lamp or whatever. And I don't know. I still want to move, but and Seattle is high on the list, but then I get afraid of like, it's going to be a $6,000 move between the two of us to ship our stuff out there, to ship a car out there, to figure out the logistics, to sell a lot of our shit. Like it's not just like we're moving 5 hours to St. Louis or back to Florida, a 10-hour drive. It's across the fucking country. So I just feel like it's a really big commitment to move there, because I wasn't like this when I moved from Florida to Nashville. I was like, oh, if it fails, I can move back, whatever. Where this just feels like a bigger commitment of a move that I better fucking be sure, because if I don't like Seattle, the next option is, I think, California, then I would make the move to California. But I don't know. I've just been really in my head about it. And I know I don't want to live here, because just being back here, I'm like, it feels safe and chill, but I'm not happy here. I'm just kind of whatever about it. And then, like, will I ever be happy in another city is the other question. I'm eventually going to hate Seattle too, right? Like, I hated Orlando and Nashville. So at what cost? Should I just stay here, save the money, and just use it for more travel? Or should I move to somewhere that has more options around the area, to go to Canada, to go to, whatever. There's 2-hour drives around, where there's around Nashville. You got Chattanooga that's 2 hours away, and then 3 hours to any of the other cities. So I don't know. Lots to consider and not a lot of time to figure it out.
Just stop fucking whining. That's my
pull your head out of your ass.
Yeah, pull your head out of your ass. Stop your bitching. Like, it's one of those things that you and I were talking about this. Obviously, anybody who just listens, like, why are you being so harsh? But no, like, you and I obviously,
we had a long talk.
But it's one of the, like, you might as well experience new cities and new places to live, and if the cost was such a thing where, like, it was going to make you go broke to think about moving there, then I would say don't do that. But we know that you're fine, that you can afford to do that, because you both have good jobs, and so, like, it's one of those things, like, yeah, just do it, because literally the worst that could happen is you're there for a year, and what happens? Two things could happen. Number one, you guys break up. You'd be fine. Like, I mean, like, obviously you'd be sad and everything like that. But I mean, in the long run, you'd be fucking fine. You would find a way to live, or you would just decide, okay, I'm going to move to wherever. Like, you would just do whatever, and you'd sell half your shit and be fine, or you hate it so much that you're like, okay, we have to move somewhere else. And you pack up and spend the money again in a year to move somewhere else, which is not, like, it's not the end of the world, But
like, I don't want to do.
Of course, you don't want to.
Yeah.
This is the worst case scenario. It's like, you always look at it. Can you possibly survive the worst case scenario? Yes, without even really trying, without even it being that much effort, you would survive the worst case scenario. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And you get to experience somewhere cool. And I mean, and obviously from Seattle, you can drive down south to the whole Napa Valley area is really beautiful. All the areas, like, above San Francisco, north of San Francisco, are just gorgeous. That whole northern part of California is amazing as well. And there is so much there. And I feel like
I know. There's so many mountain ranges, and like Olympic National Park is there. Yeah.
Crazy.
Even though Roy says I don't really like hiking because I start bitching when I start getting sweaty, which is true, because I just don't like getting sweaty. But
yeah. I mean,
I like the views during the hike, but I don't like the feeling like I'm dying. Who likes that?
I was talking to the friend that I met right before I left Florida, who I was like, if we had actually met years before, I feel like we would have dated. I told you about her.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been chatting, and she wants to come out to Utah and visit, but she's like, we're going on hikes. She was like, because she loves to hike. And I was like, I will do a 10-minute hike. That's the 10, maybe 15-minute hike. I said, that's the extent of my hiking. And any more than that, you can keep going. I'll wait for you to come back. I said, no more than that. She goes, that's not a real hike. So see, everybody's
always just a walk.
Yeah, no, it's a fucking hike. All right. So you're back. So, I mean, obviously we'll figure out if you end up moving to Seattle when you move to Seattle, when it actually happens.
I know. Well, so I'm going to Ireland in 2 weeks, and then I'll be gone, and I won't be back until end of September. Our lease ends in November.
Where else are you going?
I'm going to Ireland and Romania.
Romania, and then coming back, and you're gonna have to figure out stuff after that.
I'll have a month to either
we have to spend $6,000 to move across country. But let me just take 3 weeks and go to Ireland and Romania.
Look, okay, with my points and how cheap the flights were, I was easily convinced. The Airbnb, okay, for example, the Airbnb in Bucharest, Romania for 2 weeks.
Right.
Guess how much it was?
I was there like
for 2 weeks.
$500.
was like 600,
Five,
but
yeah,
still,
okay,
it's like
yeah.
$40 a
Yeah,
night.
it's really really reasonable.
Yeah, and then there was like a discount on top of that for a weekly discount, and it's cheaper in Bucharest than other cities in Europe. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
sold.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you for doing it. I'm just saying that if you're going to go enjoy that and have a great time doing that, then at the same time, be like, a moving expense is a moving expense. And I'm trying to tell you, and maybe people will chime in after they listen to this episode. I'm trying to tell you to go through the extra expense of just paying them to come pack your shit up and move it for you. Like, make sure you find a moving truck that there's whole things. It's they're called greater not to exceed is the type of quote you want to get. And what it means is it's not going to be more than that. So they'll come in and eyeball everything you have and give you an actual quote, and it's not legally allowed to be more than that.
Oh wow.
And so even if they go through a weight thing and it ends up being more, they can't charge you more, because what a lot of places do, they give you a really cheap quote and they'll say, but if it weighs more, we have to charge you the difference. And then they'll go to a weigh station and it'll weigh more, and they'll say, oh, okay, well, we're not going to unload this till you pay us an extra $2,000 or whatever like that. So they're scams. And so they give you a really good price up front, shitty price when you actually want to, they hold your stuff for ransom. So that's because I researched it so meticulously when Amy and I moved from Los Angeles to Florida, because obviously it's a huge distance, and I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to get ripped off, that we weren't going to have all our stuff broken, that we had like all these things. And so I found a trucking company that had good reviews, that did the greater not to exceed quote, that actually loaded it onto the same truck that was going to unload it. Because the other thing that some places will do is they load it in one truck, they bring it to a warehouse, they unload it, then another truck comes by that's going in that direction, they'll load it back up. And so then you have stuff missing and broken because in the process of unloading and loading again. And so I found a truck that did that or whatever. And we actually had them come and they packed everything up. They loaded it on their truck. Then the same guys got in the truck and drove to Florida and unloaded everything. And it was the best thing ever. It was worth every penny, because just knowing that everything was taken care of and that it was a place, it was, and then we had the phone number for the truck driver. We could text to see where they were and everything like that too. So just, and I know that was a while ago. That was back in 2004. that we did it. Yeah. So it was a while ago, but so they probably you could probably track them online and stuff now, they probably have a lot more, but I think it's worth springing.
It's just the money that goes into all of this. That's really, it's the cost and the weather. And those are two big factors.
I know, but I think it's worth springing for the cost to have the move be as painless as possible, because you don't want to have that extra stress. It's never fun to add that, especially while you're trying to work and do other things too. So and
we're gonna have to drive across the fucking country too with another car.
Yeah, just sell your fucking car. I've already told you that.
I'm not selling my paid off car. I have no debt.
Flip flop on wheels that you call a car.
You're the only person. I don't know. Do you like having debt? Because I don't like having debt, because all the money I save from not having a car payment, I can just use to either invest or to travel.
You don't need a car in where you're gonna go.
I'm going.
Downtown's walkable. There's water taxis to get to Seattle itself if you want to go. And Roy will have a car there, and he's not driving. He's not going to work, which means all you need is really one car. Amy and I lived in Los Angeles for 4 years with one car, because if we went somewhere, it was the two of us. What happens
but this is me going back to worst case scenario. And what happens if we break up? Then I'm fucked without a car.
Then you go buy a car.
But then I have the debt from it. That's stupid. Oh my God, I'm not taking on.
That's a worst case scenario we're talking about here.
Where I just pay the $1,000.
And actually, worst case scenario, you could go buy a car. It would be fine. I promise. Actually, when Amy and I got divorced, that was the first thing she did, because we were still sharing. We still had only one car when we lived here. So I lived in Florida. So from 2004 to 2010 till I got divorced, we still had just one car, because there was no point. Because I worked from home and she worked like a quarter mile away, so she would walk to work sometimes. So when we got divorced, I took the car, and then she went out and bought a brand new car, and had a $200 a month car payment.
I'm not making these decisions as someone who is unmarried, or I'm not getting rid of my car. I'm not getting rid of my car.
I think that would be the most smartest thing you could possibly do, to take two cars all the way to Seattle.
It's under 100,000 miles. It's paid off. It runs well.
How about you? What if you sold it, took the money, and just put that into a little money market, and then so you had the money to buy a new car, or to buy a car later on?
But that's not going to pay off if this is too in the weeds now. But if I bought a new car, I would want to have the $30,000. I wouldn't even get a new car. I would get another fucking Fiat or another Beater that wasn't more than $15,000. Sure. And I would want to have that money just sitting there, so I wouldn't take on another fucking car loan. I hate one thing about me, I fucking hate cars. I
Yeah.
hate car problems. It's been my entire life owning a car. Something bad will always happen to me. Roy does not understand it because he's like, I've never had an issue with any of my cars. I'm like, well, I had a Honda Civic that got totaled. I had a Jetta Volkswagen that like the engine was like a $6,000 fix. And then my Fiat, I don't know, like the window, the
Right,
window,
right.
that's like a $400. That's not a big
Yeah.
deal. But
But that's what I'm
there's
saying.
always
So
issues
you
with
hate
cars.
cars, so just get rid of it. You're not going to need it in Seattle, in West Seattle.
I'm not going to do that yet. I'm not doing that.
All
But
right.
thank you. No,
Put it on
thank
the
you
back
for
of
the
your list.
recommendation.
Put it on the thought. Just think about it, because I really think in the long run, the effort of moving both those cars over there, you're gonna be like, yeah, we should just sell one of them. I think that's gonna be the actual answer you're gonna have. But just a thought. Like I said, Amy and I did that. So we were in St. Louis. We each had a car. We sold one and then took her car to Los Angeles, and then
But you were married.
no, not yet. We were still just a couple at that point, but we only
I
needed
don't
one
know.
car.
I think worst case scenario. And if anything bad happens and then I'm fucked and without a car.
You wouldn't be fucked without a car, though. I mean, it's not like you'd be somewhere where there's like no cars available to rent, or you couldn't get an Uber anywhere. Like, it's not like you're acting like you'd like have to build a car from scratch by hand if you guys break up. You're like, I don't know how to make an engine. How do I even do this? What am I gonna do? There's no, Oh
Shut
my
up.
God.
I'll
Anyway,
just get an electric bike instead. Sell the car.
there we go.
Bike.
I feel like that, yeah, or a little moped or something.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Glad we covered that.
I know.
About
all right,
my favorite subject, automobiles.
right. A couple things before we take a break. If you are listening and you have any questions, I think we still have actually one voicemail we haven't put up there, but we need to do. I completely forgot. But you can call our DKS hotline at 407-519-0181. We'd love to hear from you if you have any questions about dating, sex, relationships, anything like that. Dating tips, profile tips, things about, is this a red flag? Is it whatever? Anything like that, please feel free to give us a call, leave a voicemail, 407-519-0181. And if you are the person who left the voicemail that we haven't done yet, we will do that next episode, I promise.
We're sorry. Yeah, this is an impromptu. Oh, I'm back and let's.
Yeah, we're trying to do this before she
yeah.
leaves on her European trip and then worries about money. And so I want to give a quick shout out to the foreign countries that have put us on their. We've been on their charts. Dating Kind of Sucks has been in the top of their charts, and we have a big list actually. I don't know. We've been having a lot of international exposure recently. Belgium, Ghana, Tanzania, Nigeria, Barbados, Oman, and Greece.
Oman's definitely a new one.
Oman's a new one. Greece is a new one too, I think. And then and so we've been popping up all over the place. So thank you to all of our listeners in those countries. And then finally, I wanted to remind people because I took a year off of this podcast, of the True Crime podcast. I think listenership kind of dropped off. People didn't realize that we're doing new episodes. But Angel at the Starlight Motel is back. We are about, I want to say, maybe almost halfway through the third season now, and I have the sister of Mandy. Mandy is the girl who's currently in prison convicted for murder.
2 life sentences.
Two life sentences, yeah. And so her sister is actually now my co-host, and so we've been adding some really interesting commentary, and we have a whole a free Patreon there where people we post video surveillance footages and crime scene photos and all types of really cool stuff. So if you do like true crime, this is the craziest true crime story you'll ever hear, and I want to suggest that you check it out. Angel at the Starlight Motel, available on all podcast apps. And Sarah is also a subscriber and listener, although she is not caught up on season 3 yet.
No, I'm one of those listeners that I know it's there. I just haven't sat down to listen to it.
Bad
me. Yeah.
I had somebody actually reach out who's was a friend who really got hooked in on it. She's like, I don't know why, but last episode was the perfect episode. She said, because it was all about the police video surveillance and how the police had actually lied and how the videos weren't proving the case properly. And she's like, it was just everything was so I had to re-listen to it because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. Huh. So if that doesn't sell you on listening to it, then I don't know what will.
Adam's a great reporter.
Yeah, there we go. I try. But with that, let's just take a quick break. And when we come back, it'll be time for What to See with Sarah G. Well, we visited St. Augustine with Sarah. We visited Lisbon, Portugal with Sarah, and now it is time for another fascinating segment of what to see with Sarah G. And it's a place that that I don't think I can even pronounce properly. So I'm going to leave it up to Sarah to take it away.
Really?
To take it away, yeah. Let's you just dive right into to this segment.
Yeah. I guess the spelling of this one can get a bit confusing. This week, let's explore Oaxaca City. It has a couple of names, so I guess that's also the confusing part. Oaxaca actually doesn't start with a W either. Like you would think it would sound. It sounds like it starts with a W. It's
Yeah, absolutely.
Oaxaca is Oaxaca, and there are a couple of names for Oaxaca since Oaxaca is a state in the country of Mexico. It's also known as Oaxaca City or Oaxaca de Juarez, and it's the capital of the largest Mexican state of Oaxaca. Just a lot of Oaxaca all over the place here. It's known for its colorful streets, fantastic food, and it's definitely one you don't want to miss as you travel throughout Mexico. A lot of people go to the beaches, which is great, but this city, it needs to be on your list. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram or not, but I recently visited in June and July, and I have a lot of recommendations for where to stay, what to eat, things to do. First off, hotels. I stayed at Casa Hotel de Sotano, which is walking distance to some amazing restaurants and the main square where the famous church Templo de Santo Domingo is located. I love this hotel because it really had some fantastic views from the rooftop jacuzzi, and there were a lot of spots to just like chill in hammocks and relax if you didn't want to like go out and explore in the city, which was cool. And then there's another hotel option called Selena. And this is a really popular hotel chain among digital nomads because they're really known for their community building environments. They have, events every single night like salsa dancing. And they also offer really good co-working spaces if you're working remotely in the city. So I would consider those two options if you're just like picking around hotels to stay at. Now let's talk about places to eat. You can't travel here without trying either the mole, the Oaxacan cheese, or drinking some mezcal. I think it's almost impossible to have a bad meal here, no matter where you are. But I have a couple of places that you have to add to your list with varying prices. So first off is probably my favorite place that I just stumbled upon. It's Criollo. It's a little bit away from the main downtown area, and it's a bit of a splurge, but don't let that stop you. They have a 9-course food and drink pairing for about $100 per person. You can also choose to not have the drink pairing with it, and it's around $75. But, when you're there, it's like go big or go home. Yeah, I'm going to spend the $100 and just do it. Definitely recommend having a reservation. And this isn't one of those restaurants where you kind of rush in, eat and drink and leave. Expect to be there for like 2 to 4 hours because, like I said, I got a little tipsy. I was like dying in a good way of, oh, another drink, oh, another cocktail. And then at the end, I was like, I can't move. So just pace yourself and give yourself enough time to really enjoy this restaurant and the experience that they provide. The next one is another favorite. It's Levadura de Olla Restaurante. This spot is located in the city center, and it's known for traditional Oaxacan cuisine. If you're here, hold your breath, but you have to order the guacamole with crickets. It's like their tradition, one of their appetizers that they recommend, or just get one of their amazing cocktails. Again, if you don't want to get the crickets, think about getting tamales with their mole instead.
So that's not a euphemism. That's like those are actual crickets.
Yeah, they're crispy little guys in your guacamole. Yeah.
Interesting. And
I've never had. Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I've never had crickets before that, so it was good. It's just different, Instead of the tomatoes in the guacamole, you just have crickets.
Sure. Okay. All right.
It's a great substitute. A little bit more protein, I guess. And then another notable mention is Los Dantes, Oaxaca. It's a little bit upscale, but for a reasonable price. I got an appetizer and a main dish for around $20 US. They have a really cool patio space, and it's listed on a lot of like top places to eat as a must-eat spot. So if you're around the downtown area, check it out. For things to do on your first day, I definitely recommend doing a free walking tour of the city. It's really going to give you a good lay of the land and provide you with a lot of background information so you can really know a lot about other areas during the rest of your trip. And even though the tour is free, I really think you should carry cash so you can tip your guide at the end. Just have a couple of pesos, like 100, 200 pesos to pay at the end. If shopping is your thing, you'll want to try the local, or you want to try local food market instead of just going to a restaurant. You can visit Mercado 20th de Noviembre, or there are a lot of other surrounding markets around the block from that main one. You can spend a few hours here haggling, I got a couple purses, trying, mezcal there, or just hiding from the weather, whether it's rainy or it's super hot. It's a good way to spend a couple hours in the afternoon. Another thing to do, going back to food, is to take a cooking class. That is a really big tourist attraction, is a Oaxacan cooking class. I always look on Airbnb experiences to book things like that, and that's where I ended up booking mine. You really get a local feel because you're cooking in someone's home and you're also meeting other travelers as well. So you'll really feel immersed in the experience and into the culture, which I really enjoyed. And then last but not least, our day trips. If you have a couple extra days in the city, I recommend either visiting the ruins of Mitla or Hirve el Agua. Both aren't far from one another, but could easily be their own trip. They also have, mezcal tasting places where you can go to a farmland. I wouldn't say a plantation, but like you can go to the farmland and like see how they make it. That's also coupled into a lot of other day trip tours too. But things to consider, and that is what to see this week in Oaxaca City. Yay.
Now, this wasn't the place where you gave yourself heat poisoning, right? From like you got heat sick from the first day because you went too hard and you
that
were
was
like
that was in Mexico. That was in Mexico, but that was in the state of Oaxaca, Puerto Escondido. It's a beach town. That's where I had heat exhaustion and was vomiting for an entire day. So same thing applies. Drink a lot of water and carry water with you because you don't want to be stupid like me.
Is water in Mexico still the thing? I mean, I remember when I went years ago and I was like sixth grade, they're like, don't drink the water. You always drink bottled water. Is that actually still a thing in Mexico? Or is that a stereotype you don't have to pay attention to anymore?
No, it's definitely still a thing. I don't fuck with tap water. Like I'll brush my teeth with it, because I know I'm gonna like spit it out or whatever. But as far as drinking water, I would buy a bottle of water or like the big gallons and pour stuff into my water bottle. So I'd be good.
Okay, interesting. I do remember when I was in Iceland that they had the water coming directly, like all the hotels and everything, the water comes directly from under the ground, basically. So it's just perfect. Like everyone drinks it, and it's just like it's just fresh directly from the springs that Iceland floats on. It's just pretty badass. But don't do that in Mexico, I guess.
Yeah, so. I don't recommend doing it in Mexico. Well, and that was the other thing. The first time I really had to worry about the water in Mexico was when I was dying from heat exhaustion. So I was even more aware of I'm not drinking that water because I already feel like shit. And if that water causes me to feel worse, I'm going to hate myself.
Yeah, that would be terrible. Well, fantastic. This sounds more exciting, to be honest, than the rest of the places you've talked about so far, mostly because I think it's all about food to me. Like, I think, like a lot of times you're talking about walking around in big hills and shit like that and other, and so like Lisbon was like, this place sounds much more exciting. So,
I mean, I did spend a lot of time eating here. And at first I was like, I don't know what there is to do here. And everyone was like, eat the Oaxacan cheese. And I was like, cheese? I'm fucking sold. So.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back talking about traveling with a partner and get to the topic.
I know we always talk about my travel experiences, especially with that last segment, but since we're talking about traveling with a partner, I'm sure you've had more travel experiences with a partner than I have. So good, bad, how are you as a traveler? Because I know how you are now in Utah. Is it much different?
Right. Yeah, I think who I am as a traveler now is just gotten more and more set in my ways. But I don't know if I've traveled. I know I haven't traveled as much as you have generally, but yes, when I was with Amy, when we were, dating, we would take little day trips all the time. And then we started planning bigger trips as we started to make money and could actually afford it. And so we would go to Boston or go to Vegas when we lived in Los Angeles, go to Vegas and places like that, go to Napa Valley. And I think that, traveling with a partner is definitely, it's an important test of your relationship, without a doubt. It's like, I feel like there's like two things that you should try to do with in a relationship. And one is if you can survive going to IKEA with them.
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, if you can survive walking through the terrible, awful, garbage bullshit maze that is IKEA, and and you're still together after that. And secondly, if you can survive going on a vacation. And I think that it's funny. I think my parents went on a joint vacation with another couple one time. and they came back and they were no longer friends with that couple. Like that was, just
Mhm.
because they were used to traveling with each other, but not like to try to share with the couple. And I can't imagine the complexity of trying to do that. That sounds terrible. Because even with another partner, you each have your own like things,
You have your
like
own way and your style and what you want to do and not do. And if you're a fast traveler, slow traveler, and if you don't talk about the expectations up front, you're going to run into fucking issues, whether that's at the airport or on a beach.
yeah. And so when Amy and I would travel, she was a planner. And she was a planner more than I think you're a planner. Like
Down to the minute, down
yeah,
to the
like she
hour.
had like a schedule. She would be like, because, and I think to her, the point of the vacation was to go to this place and absorb everything you could possibly absorb from this place for as long, for as much as possible, and experience it and go, and so she had, a list of things that she wanted to make sure she saw. She had scheduled out what places were open, like if something were only open other days, and then if places did tours or whatever, like special hours when they were open. So she basically had it all scheduled out what she wanted it to do. And I wanted to go on vacation. Like to
You
me,
just wanted to sleep and
yeah, like a
relax. And
vacation,
yeah.
it was a rest from the real world. Like I honestly didn't care where we were. I just wanted to relax. I wanted to sleep in. I wanted to have a nice meal. I wanted to maybe go out for a nice dinner somewhere, have some drinks. And or at that point I didn't drink. So that wasn't even part of it at that point then, but just like go out and have a nice meal and then like go back and chill and watch TV, like and that, like just not have to worry about the world. That was to me a vacation. Yeah.
So
So
an all-inclusive resort sounds like your type of thing for a vacation.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, honestly, like, I mean, just a hotel within DoorDash range of McDonald's is all I need. I don't need a fucking resort. Like, I'm really that easy. But so we would go, Amy and I did well when we would take vacations to places that were like these quirky little places. Like one time when we were in St. Louis, we went to like Hannibal, Missouri, which is, I think, the birthplace of Mark Twain. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So we went there because she had just found it, like just looking around online, and it was like there's like a little miniatures museum there that's in someone's house, and there's all these like weird little things, and then there's like a riverboat dinner cruise, and everything like that. And I was like, okay, that sounds great because we got there, we had a hotel. There's only a couple things you can see there. There's really not a lot to do in the town, so it was like we were there for like 2 nights, and we were able to really just kind of relax, go see these really quirky things. And I like quirky things. I like things that are kind of off the beaten path. Those are worth my time. I hate touristy things. I mean, I lived in St. Louis for 3 years. I never went the Arch. I've been to New York a dozen times. I've never seen the Statue of Liberty, and I don't give a shit to. Like it's just there's no value in seeing something like that to me. It's just whatever. I can see a picture of it. Jerk off motion. I'm just saying for the podcast listeners that I was making a jerk off motion on video. So like I liked when we would go on vacations where we were finding these quirky little things. But then like I remember the first time we went to Vegas, was it for a honeymoon? It might have been for a honeymoon. But like we went there, it was relatively quick drive, got a nice hotel, stayed there, and then she wanted to like go walk up and down all the shops, and it was in the middle of the summer, I feel like.
Oh, hell no.
So it could have been an anniversary because we got married in October, but yeah, it was like it was hot. It was like it wasn't like 100 degrees hot, but it was getting there. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going. Like, I'm sorry. She goes, okay, that's fine. And I was like, I went to bed and just took a nap, and she like walked up and down all the different places and saw everything she wanted to see, and came home and like had all the stories she wanted to tell me, which is great. I was happy to listen to all the stories while still sitting in bed. Like that was great. That was a great type of vacation. So that's kind of how I like to rest, and I want someone who's going to be either okay with it or completely compatible with it. I do remember on
Where
our
they can do their own thing and they don't
yes,
need you to be there.
to be
Yeah.
independent. Like with Lisa, my best friend Lisa and I, when she travels, she and I, like, she'll come up and we visited, she and I went to Iceland together. She and I would take trips up to Savannah and places like that. She came and visited me when I was in up north. We went to Portland for 3 days. We're like on the same vein. All we want to do is just hit up bars and drink and kind of do like minor touristy stuff, and then otherwise just sleep, and it's perfect. And but if she wants to go do something, she'll just go do it without even like saying anything, and then it's great.
And you're still sleeping and you don't miss out. You're
Yeah. And
Yeah, you don't
she's
feel
one person
bad.
who could sleep more than I can, so it was even better in that case. But I do remember when my honeymoon, I felt so bad, but we went on a cruise and we didn't have any money at that time, so we bought like an inner cabin on a Carnival cruise, like
So
so
no windows.
no windows. So we get in there and I immediately start feeling a little motion sick,
Fuck.
and so I have like Dramamine or Bonine or one of those, and I take one and like midway through like our first night of like eating dinner, I'm like falling asleep at the table because it's kicking in. And so we go back to the cabin and I lay down and I sleep for something like 18 hours because like the medicine, I'd never taken it before.
Oh
I guess
my
it really
God.
fucked with me. Yeah. And so I felt so bad because we're like cruising to the Bahamas and I'm basically physically incapable of waking up and like being alert enough to go do anything. And she wanted to go do all these things. We still managed to do some things, but that was like we barely survived the honeymoon, to be quite honest. So that was not
You guys
not a,
fight
not,
after
not
the fact?
she was just really sad and disappointed that like all these things, and I was like I'm sorry, like I am, and she's like I know, I'm not trying to be mad at you. She was very understanding, and I was just like I was trying my best, but the taking that fucking Dramamine had just knocked me on my ass so much that I could barely, like literally, like every time we would sit down I would just start to fall asleep again. Like it was like yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, that's so that traveling with me now is one of those things that I think I'd have to travel. Like I don't know that I want to travel with anybody ever again, honestly. Like like vacation, I just want to rest. But I don't know. I really don't know if I could handle traveling with a partner anymore. Like I think I'm just so set in my ways that I couldn't. I don't know. Like Amy went to Italy with her friends, like all her girlfriends, and it was great because she had 3 weeks. She had a meticulous itinerary. Her friends wanted to just goof off, and so she just went off on her own throughout Italy, did her own thing. And it was great. And I got to hear like all the adventures, and they got to do their thing. And they weren't upset that she was doing her own thing. And like that's a perfect vacation, I think, is when one person can go do their own thing and the other person can do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, it's the balance of like either you're cool with compromising or you have a couple ideas of what you want to do. And then once you get there, you go, okay, well, actually, we really want to do this or we really want to do that. I don't know. I'm not the type of person who has a list or a strict itinerary of this day, this day, this. I will
Right.
say if it's a, say like the Vatican or something that you need a ticket beforehand, I will plan that before I leave. But most of the time, I wait until I get to the city. I kind of get a lay of the land and I go, okay, what do I want to see? And then I
Yeah.
kind of weigh my options there instead of 9 a.m. we're doing this. And I try not to wake up super early either, unless it's for a tour or something that I really wanted to do that just requires me to be up early for that one day.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's because I am so anti-person. I hate tours. I hate like any of those things too. But I also hate the concept of coming home from a vacation and needing like a vacation. And people like
Yeah.
because they run themselves so ragged trying to see everything that they never actually get to rest and they need a rest when they get back. Like I'm like, no, that's the whole point is to rest enough so you get back and you're like, oh, that was great. I feel rested up. So
Yeah. I think it's also important too, like just to have one day of just nothing's on the schedule. We can do whatever, just very chill.
yeah.
If you have a week vacation or whatever, just a chill day to hang out with whoever you're traveling with.
Who did you go to Thailand with? Was that with a boyfriend?
Oh no, that's my gay bay Nick.
Your gay bay Nick.
Gay
Okay.
bay Nick. But they always think that we're together. Like we've traveled to Thailand together, we've been to France together, and we're
Right.
going to Ireland together. So
Are you guys good travelers in that sense?
So our dynamic is he goes in not knowing anything, and I'm like, "Do you want to do this?" He goes, "Yeah." "Do you want to do this?" "Yeah, sure." The only thing in France that he's a big foodie. The only thing when we went to France was he had to pick the specific restaurant, and it
Mhm.
had to be to his standard. And that was the only time I've traveled with him where I'm like, "You're fucking annoying the shit out of me. I'm starving. Just pick a goddamn restaurant." But that
Right.
was what was important to him, and we didn't realize that until like we were day 2 into the trip of, oh, this is how this trip's going to be. It's more of a, like Oaxaca, it's more of a foodie city where, okay, this is what's important, let's shape the trip around this. But no, like, and Roy's the same way. It's that dynamic of Roy will just go with the flow of whatever. He'll have a couple of things that he might want to do, but he's like, if we don't do them, it's fine. He goes, I trust that you'll plan, where you're going, and like you'll plan something that'll be worth it. So
Right. And then of course we look at your vacation to Portland, Maine with Roy and his family.
Too chill for me. That's
right.
That would be the perfect vacation for you, and it's the perfect vacation for him. But because we weren't going and seeing some other places or like leaving every other day to go somewhere, I just felt stuck. I guess I'm not I can take a day or two to relax, but I can't take the whole week to relax.
Do you feel like you're wasting a trip if you're not out there seeing things?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
I can spend a day like in Hawaii. We spent 2 weeks in Hawaii. The first week we were out traveling, exploring. The second week we just chilled and we were on another island and we just basically spent it at the hotel, and it annoyed the shit out of me. Like I'm fine with like 2-3 days at the hotel, but I wanted to go to Honolulu. I wanted to check out all these other areas, and it wasn't my rental car; it was my mom's, and she wouldn't let me leave the property. So I was just, me complaining now. I was stuck on a really beautiful resort off the,
right.
the island of Oahu, but I was just like, dude, I want to see other, I want to just drive a little bit around the island or like go to this one restaurant and then I'll be back in an hour. Just feeling like I'm not stuck in one place, I think is my one thing that will really bother me with travel. If knowing that I can just take the car and drive somewhere for an hour and be back, and having that freedom is a good thing for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely I think that vacations for me are just purely about rest, have nothing to do with seeing anything or doing anything. They're just purely about relaxation, and that's it. Like but so have you and Roy ever butted heads other than Portland? I know in Portland you guys got a little frustrated, but that was also, I think, because of the family dynamic, not necessarily because of you two.
Right.
Have you butted heads on your other two? Yeah.
Yes. It's at airports. It's just it's miscommunication at airports. So my ass right now does not have TSA pre-check. I am in line. I'm queued up to get, what is it? Global entry and TSA pre-check, but the process right now is just taking forever. So, he always has to check a bag. So our check-in process is different, where I never check a bag. So he's like, I have to check the bag and we have to wait. And I'm sitting here waiting for him, where I'm like, just want to go through the fucking security because you're going to pass me. So we break off and do our own thing. But before we weren't doing that. And I was waiting on him and then he was waiting on me. So we'd get annoyed with one another because he's like, I have to wait for him to check his bag. And then he's waiting for me once I get done with security. And he's just like, why don't you get TSA pre-check? It was just like the little irritation there.
So he has it, you're saying?
He has it.
Okay.
He has it and I don't right now. But so that was one aspect, not a big deal, just minor inconveniences while we're at the airport. The other thing was we got into a really big fight at the Mexico City airport because we weren't sitting next to each other on the plane, and when the plane deboarded, it deboarded from the front and the back. So we got separated, and the line to get, like, we were connecting in Mexico City to go back to fly to Atlanta or whatever. And the line, it like split for like connecting flights, internet, like if you were leaving the airport or whatever. And I was just following the masses, and we went two different ways. And so the way that I went, I realized I fucked up. I own that. I fucked up and I went the other way, but that's because like they were like ushering us this way. Like I didn't even notice the signs until after. I was like, I guess there was another way. But he didn't have his phone on because he didn't, like, with my plan, I get Mexico and Canada calls and texts for free. For his, he does not. So I'm trying to text him like, where the fuck are you? I don't know if you're in baggage, like, where are you? And he's not responding. So I'm standing there. We have a connecting flight in like an hour and a half, and he's not responding for 20 minutes. So I'm like, I don't want to leave him. I can't communicate with him. We separated. So I go rogue and try to figure it out. After probably 45 minutes of us being separated, not being able to get a hold of him, he finally turns on his fucking phone and texts me, which just pissed me off because I'm like, you knew we were separated. Why didn't you do this earlier? Right. And then we finally like got connected, and I had to go back through TSA and do all this other shit. And I was like, you don't, like, get off the plane and wait for me. Don't just like keep going, because I don't know, like, just fucking wait for me at the gate. Why did you do that? And I was so mad at him. And then he was like, do you want a Starbucks? And then I had Starbucks and I was fine. That's the Mexico City airport was probably the worst. That was almost 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago, whatever. But that was a pretty bad, I wouldn't even say fight. I was really pissed at him for doing that. And I was like, this is our moment at the airport. Fuck. Yeah. Don't get separated or have your phone on. And neither of those two things are the case.
Yeah. That I could see that, being, because you didn't sit together, because Isn't it because he bought a ticket later? Isn't that what it was? Because normally you would buy a ticket.
He did buy a ticket later
that's
too.
what
Yeah.
happened.
So
Okay.
we didn't buy our flights at the same time. We were not on the same seat. So like those things complicated it a little bit. So now it's like if we're going on a trip together, we buy the flights together,
Right.
we book the seats together. We've learned from our mistakes that we must do these things in order to be successful traveling together. So
On the actual vacation, has there ever been any like issue? Like, you know, obviously just getting there is can be frustrating, but once you're there, is he pretty
pretty chill.
pretty chill with what you want to do and everything?
It's just making sure we're not overrunning the other one of like, I want to do this, I want to do this, and just checking, are you good if we do this? It's okay.
Right.
Like I think when I travel solo, obviously it's my choices are my decisions. So I'm gonna just do me or whatever. And I'm cool with, you know, saying, okay, I'm tired, I want to go chill. And I think when you're traveling with a partner, you have to check to make sure the other partner is not tired, because there is like a level of people pleasing too of I don't want to slow the other person down because they want to do these things. And just being real with your partner of going, are you seriously, are you tired? It's totally fine with me if you want to go back to the hotel and we just rest a little bit and we can plan for that tomorrow. And just having some of that flexibility built in so you don't feel guilty for like if you're the partner who's tired but the other person wants to keep going, like you'll feel guilty for that of making sure your partner's along with you the entire way. And there can be at the end of the trip resentment built in of we always did what you wanted to do. So I think just constantly having the flexibility and then just constantly checking in of are you good? It's like with sex. Are you good with this? Are you okay if we keep going, you know? And just checking in and going, you seem tired. Are you pissed about this? You know, like, and Roy and I do that all the time. We'll check in, we'll eat at a restaurant and I can just tell him like, you don't love this place, do you? He's like, it's not my favorite, but you picked it and that's okay. Next place. And I'm like, okay, next place you pick. My bad, it was okay, but whatever. Or a plan. I direct him when he's driving. So I know I'm like, bear with me. GPS sucks sometimes. There's road closures and sometimes like we'll miss a turn and I'll just be like, my fuck up, my bad, here we go, and he has to drive because if it was me driving, I would get like, you have to pick your players to know how they're going to react in certain situations. And it's just really knowing your partner, what they can and cannot handle and constantly asking, are you cool with this? Are you not?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And what do you think is, I know that obviously probably the one thing that I would guess that maybe he does probably get either annoyed at or he kind of laughs at is your need for photos. Yeah, your photography.
100%. And it's actually funny. He doesn't know what qualifies as a good photo when he takes my photo, which is a whole nother thing.
Listen, I take photos and I don't know what qualifies as a good photo with you because the things you think matter are not part of it. Like it's not about composition. It's honestly it's about 90% of your pose. It's all about, and I don't know what it is that you're looking at in your pose. I have not figured out, but there's something you don't like about yourself. And so the pose has to be that perfect thing that hides whatever it is that you think looks odd otherwise. Because I have taken photos of you, and it's like
not every single photo.
I know we've taken a dozen, and they're all basically the same. And this one where your head just has to be turned this right way, and your arms are the right way, and your legs are the right way. You're like, oh, this one works. And it's infuriating.
Is this an all girls problem or just a me problem?
I think it might be a you problem, but I don't know.
Is it just a me problem? Damn.
I don't know. But
because he feels the same way. He'll take all these photos. He's like, this is a good one. I'll look at him like, I look like a fucking monster in this photo. He's like, but you look at it was so cute. He was like, you look so beautiful in this photo. I'm like, I'm fucking ugly. Take it again.
That's exactly what it is. Because I mean, when you and I even just went up to that place in Arkansas, and just trying to take pictures of you in front of the certain thing, and you're just like,
well, I have a vision. No. Part of it is I have a vision and then I want the angle to be a certain way.
Right.
And then this is so dumb. It also has to fit the aesthetic of my Instagram feed. And then I have to look good on, like, there's so many qualifying levels to it that I tell Roy, like I tell anybody, take a fucking million of them. I'm going to like 2 of them, maybe just take a bunch. And so with that tactic, it works. My other friend Nick, who I've traveled with a lot more, he knows what I'm looking for, and he's like, "You look good here. Okay, fix it." Like he knows when I'm not going to like something from my hair or like if my body's a little off. He's like, "You're not gonna like how like your
that's what I can't figure out." Yeah, because you're a extremely fit person who is like traditionally attractive, and like there's really nothing that I can imagine in a photo that would look bad. I think you would have to be like, it would take effort to look bad in a photo, but you look at normal photos, you look good and you're like, oh yeah, this is terrible, I'm a troll in this or whatever. And it's yeah.
But photo taking is important. Back
Yeah,
to
yes.
less about
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Photo
no,
taking is
I'm just
important.
going to commiserate with Roy on, yes, the going anywhere with you when you have to take photos can be the most frustrating aspect of it.
Yeah, and so that's why, to solve that problem, if you don't like taking your partner's photo, or they're like me and they're hard to get a good photo, I just set up my own fucking tripod and do it myself. That way I'm
Yeah,
not pissing off my partner,
it's
and
true.
I know I'm going to get something that I like eventually. And
Um,
that has been our solution since, and it has worked out great.
by the way, you know what? One thing you can do, and I've tried this when I'm doing some shots where I had to, I was, I didn't want to have my, I don't know, I didn't want to take photos. Is I did a video and iPhone too, a HD video. You can shoot a video, do a bunch of poses and everything like that, and then you just go through it frame by frame and you screenshot, and it's HD, so it's the same quality, resolution, and everything as a photo, and that's not a bad thing to do too. So
Yeah, that's true.
just
I've
FYI,
done that
but
a couple times, but then it's never like the right. I don't know. I'm picky. You know, I'm
yeah, no, yeah,
picky.
you're
So,
fucking picky. That is for damn sure.
but photos are important. And then I would also say traveling with a partner, having food and water at hand at all times for either one of us, I think has saved us in so many
Yeah.
situations of just like, we'll be stuck in traffic. We don't really know where we are. At least we have water and some snacks in the car, or I have something in my bag at the airport that'll get us through this 30-minute delay. And it'll make the stressful parts of travel less terrible. That I just, even though Roy doesn't really carry as many snacks, I always have like 3 different snacks on hand and then a full bottle of water just in case.
Hmm. Well, that's good.
I'm
That's good to
telling you,
know.
it's a lifesaver when you're tired and then you're starting to get irritable because you've been walking all around and you haven't had lunch or dinner yet.
Yeah.
Pull
Well,
out the
because you get
snacks.
hangry too.
Hella hangry. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just not good. And then it's like I don't want anyone to be around me when I'm like that, so I better fucking pull out a snack now before my relationship's over.
Yeah, I would say actually my last two exes both got hangry, and that would have to be a thing. We'd have to make sure that like if we're gonna do something that I had snacks for them, because if it was somewhere we were driving somewhere or whatever, I didn't care. Like I was just like, I mean, I forget to eat half the time, and so it'll be fine. But yeah, like it's important to to keep the mood up.
Plan ahead. It really is planning ahead for the bad things that could happen. So a flight's delayed, how can we plan to make this less terrible and reduce the chances of an argument? Like, you
Right.
know, disagreements at the restaurant, how can we plan that the menu's good? It's prevent, just prior planning prevents some of those fights.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess maybe let's talk about a couple other ways that maybe if you are going to travel with a partner, if you're in a relationship or you're currently dating and you're thinking of going to Oaxaca because Sarah recommended so many cool places and you wanted to go visit, but you want to make sure that you survive, your relationship also survives the trip. What are some things that you would say are things to kind of maybe some takeaways for this?
Before the trip, sit down and talk about what you expect to experience during the trip. Just, I'd like
Yep.
to do this. I like staying at hotels that are like this. I'm a big saver, so this is how I like to travel. I don't like, you need to find out their spending habits as
Oh,
well.
that's
Do you
that's so important. Oh
do you
God,
ball out
yeah.
on a trip, or are you super cheap on a trip, or are you somewhere in the middle? You have to talk about all of those things and setting those expectations before you get on the plane or before you get in the car and take a road trip.
Yeah, and then I think that you have to be willing to compromise on that, especially the financial aspect, because if one of the two of you is really cheap and the other one wants to spend a little bit of money or has a certain level of needs that they want, it can be very different. Very different idea of a vacation too. Because yeah, I don't think I can handle that. Because I'm gonna be the type that just like throw money at it. I'm just like,
Yep.
I don't care. I want to be comfortable. I don't give a shit about this or this or this. Like I don't, I just want to make sure I'm comfortable.
Or like, I'm not sitting through a 5-hour layover to save
Exactly. Yeah.
$50. I'm
Yeah.
going to
That's
throw the
yep.
$50 on the flight. So just get those out of the way now. So when you're booking stuff, you're like, okay, cool. This is in budget. This makes more sense. And sometimes you can also find a compromise of, okay, well, we can plan other things here and there. But like, I've had friends in the past who are very, very frugal when it comes to travel. And travel is the one time where I'm like, throw all my money at it, as you know.
Yeah.
And it's changed our trip too, of like, okay, well, if you don't want to do this experience or spend, the $70 on this tour, you can do something else with your day, and I'm going to do this. And then if you have those conversations and they're like, fuck you, it could easily be a fuck you, like, you think you're better than me because you have more money. Like, small little fights can start like that. So just know going in what budget they're willing to stay in and what they're willing to spend more on or not.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, and once you talk about what plans you each have or what expectation do you have when you get there, like what things you want to see, do a little research to make sure that you're going to be able to do that, because there's nothing worse than being like, oh, I've always want to see this. And then you don't look it up until you get there and you find out that you have to make reservations 2 weeks ahead of time. So that's something important as well, because then there's disappointment. I would say that, you have to be willing to compromise to some degree. If you're not willing to compromise, then just go on vacation by yourself, which is totally okay. And
like walking,
yeah.
I hate, I don't mind walking, but there's sometimes like, I don't want to fucking walk. I'm taking public transportation, where partners might feel differently of, I'm not, I'm going to walk the whole way, or it's only a 30-minute walk. And you're like, no, I'm not fucking doing that. So know that style.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Compromise exactly. Where it works and where it doesn't.
And don't get angry. I think when you're on vacation, you have to remember not to get petty about things. If someone does something that you're not happy with, just realize that everyone has their different style and their different, speeds that they move at, and everything. And each person has a different definition of what it means to go on vacation. And that is important. So don't be afraid to have some alone time. Don't be afraid that if there's something you want to do, they don't have to be there right next to you. If it's something they're either not in the mood for, or they want to relax, it's okay to go do some things on your own. And you don't need to be like insecure or codependent or anything and be like, oh, well, no, I have to have you with me at 24/7 on vacation. That's not healthy either.
Well, I also think too, if you're going on vacation with someone and you don't currently live with them, you're going to be in that hotel room with them, spending all that time, where it could be a really like abrupt change to your schedule, because now you're sharing a space with them. You're really knowing how they are, even though it's on vacation, like their cleanliness or whatever, that you might want that time to yourself too, or they might want it, and just respect that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember the first time that Amy and I shared a hotel. I went down, into the conference center area in order to poop, because I didn't want to poop. I didn't want to poop in the hotel room. So he went to the hotel, found the conference area bathrooms that nobody ever uses, and that's what I would do, because there was never any alone time. Like, it wasn't like she was going to go off and do her own thing when I might decide I needed my space, need my time.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared to adapt as well. Like, you have to realize that if something goes wrong, that there's always, you can make up for it. Like, don't
when something goes wrong, because something will go wrong, big or small, something will go wrong. You'll miss a bus, you'll get a delay, your tour will be canceled, and you have to go, okay, pivot. What else do you want to do? And not focus on this sucks so bad, because then you're just bringing more negative energy to both of you, and that's not going to enhance your vacation in any way.
Right, exactly. Just you try to make the most out of it. And if you guys are, if you're with each other, you can have a good time regardless of what you do. And I think it's important to, what is the purpose of the vacation? That's another thing too, because if it's like you're going to a wedding, hey, we're going out of town for someone's wedding, then that's the main reason to go. So like your time around that should be spent basically kind of doing what you want. Like, you shouldn't have to, since we're in this town, we also have to see XYZ and all these things. If it is, then you need to make sure you communicate that properly. But if you're there to just because you want to go on vacation with each other and enjoy each other's company, then make that the focus of the vacation, not the tour, not the sightseeing, but to actually spending quality time with each other, if that's what your goal is. So you have to remember what the goal is for the vacation as well.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Do you want to sightsee? Do you want to relax? A wedding is a really good example, because I feel like that might be the first time you're going to travel with a partner, especially in certain stages of life, is for a wedding. So it's knowing, we have these obligations to be here at these times. The rest of it, let's just relax as the two of us and take it really slow, or, communicate, bake in an extra day to sightsee or whatever, if that's what both of you want to do.
Yeah. And then whereas if you decide, hey, I want to go to this place because I want to go to New York because I've never seen the Statue of Liberty or something like that.
Adam,
And so,
count me out.
yeah, exactly. But like if that's the vacation, is the goal to go see this one thing, like there's a site or an event or something that you've always wanted to do, and that's the focus of the vacation, then make sure your partner also knows this is the reason you're going, this is the reason you want to do this, so that they can be on board for that part of it, and then the rest of it you can kind of plan around being with each other as well. So I think that's just an important thing to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
yeah. Don't be like, this is the point of the vacation, and then the day of the whole focal point of the vacation, you're like, I didn't really want to do that anyways. Like you're going to experience a fight right then and there because expectations were not received, I suppose.
Right. Absolutely. And of course, this all boils down to our normal tenet of open communication, right? And honesty.
Yep.
And just being able to talk to the person and tell them what you want and listen to them and not judge and everything.
Yeah, I think although there are things to keep in mind that you could have a terrible vacation with a partner and it could ruin a relationship. I also think with keeping these tips in mind, this can build a foundation for your relationship once this vacation or this first trip goes really well. Of wow, I vibe with them in another way that I didn't even know. This opens up all the other doors for future travel or our relationship to grow because we mesh so well when we are together and traveling.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else you want to add to this?
No, just get out there and travel. Like whether it's a weekend trip or whatever, just get out there and travel and try it out. It's a good test, at least in the first 6 months to a year of being with a partner, to take a small weekend trip, get an Airbnb somewhere and just relax the two of you and check out some sites. And that'll give you a good sense before you take a cross the world trip to Europe or something like that. Definitely start small before going big.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. If you have any tips for traveling with a partner in order to just make sure your relationship survives traveling with a partner, why don't you can always share them with us. You can share them in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/DKS podcast, or even by email at datingkindofsuckspodcast@gmail.com.
You can also ask us questions if you have an upcoming trip or have any other relationship questions on our DKS hotline, which is 407-519-0181.
And if you're listening to this and you want to actually watch us on YouTube, you can watch us on youtube.com/datingkindofsucks. You can see our Instagram at datingkindofsucks, and then follow us on our individual TikToks at Adam Heath and at simplysarahg_.
And for as little as $5 a month, you can join our Patreon with all of our exclusive content that we're going to record after this episode at patreon.com/DKS podcast. And as always, we would love a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. So if you haven't done that and you've been listening from the beginning or you're just catching up, be sure to join us on iTunes and give us a rating on there. Or, if you just listen on Spotify, follow us on Spotify.
And with that, we will be back in 2 weeks with hopefully a brand new episode. We'll see.
Hopefully, yeah, it'll be brand new, maybe.
It's all up to Sarah. So just so you know,
boy,
I want to put the entire burden of responsibility on Sarah's shoulders.
Great.
But thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Until next time.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we get no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yuck, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.